So I knew as a little kid I just wanted to be different. I didn't want what everyone else had because I wanted a life that someone would read a book about. There's something about being raised in a small town that it's almost like you're in a little security bubble. Ellaville, Georgia is a tiny little one-stoplight town. If you blink, you would miss it if you were driving down the highway. But it's kind of like a secret little cove because it's hidden away from most of the world. We have a little tiny town square, a few restaurants, and by few I mean 2. One little supermarket on the corner, and other than that, we just have a courthouse and a bunch of good people that live in that town. I learned to sing just singing along to the radio. There wasn't really any vocal coaches or anything in my area. All the vocal teachers that I went to, they taught how to classically sing, and I didn't like that. I wanted to sing like the country stars that I grew up listening to. So I listened to the radio nonstop, just wanting to pick up anything I could. I was 13 years old, and I was leaning up against the kitchen counter. I was watching Elf. I'm just singing along to the scene when my dad walked into the kitchen, and he said, "You know, you can kind of sing." And I was like, don't joke me, don't joke me. He said, "No, I really think you should try it. I mean, why not try it?" My dad was always a dreamer. My mom was always the realist. She was keeping us to the ground while my dad's like, "Oh, go follow your dreams, go do it." My mom's like, "Get a job, get an education." So it was a perfect mixture of parents, but it was perfect in that moment that the dreamer came in and heard me singing because he said, "There's that talent show up the road in a few weeks. Like, why don't we do it?" And the stage was a sidewalk at my town square up against the side of a building. And as I was walking on stage, they started the music a little earlier than what I was used to. So I started singing, and I completely flopped. I just stood up there, not singing at all, to this I Will Survive karaoke track playing in the background over the speakers. And the sweetest thing happened, actually. A bunch of the kids that I didn't even know got together as they started singing, and they got me through the entire song. And it's funny, I feel like God has always sent one person. And that night, there was a sweet man in a cowboy hat standing near the back. And he saw my dad taking videos of me, and he leaned over to my dad and said, "Well, you know, there's this Opry house that all they play is golden classics, you know. Anything past Tanya Tucker is too modern. So she might like that." That started me on this little craze where I started going to all these different little Opry houses all over the state of Georgia, and I would sing every Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn song that I could. At 19, I'd finally had my heart broken for the last time. I was done with it. I realized that every time I sacrificed my dreams for love, it never worked out. But my dreams never gave up on me. I finally decided that maybe I was betting on the wrong horse, you know? Maybe I needed to bet on myself for once instead of betting on someone else. And that's what I did. And I just threw my clothes in trash bags. And I threw it in the back of my car, and I got my little 10-pound dog, and we drove to Nashville. And it was December 1st, 2013 was my first night there. And I woke up to a windshield full of snow. And it was truly my first time ever seeing snow that stuck all day. And I remember me and my dog dancing around the Target parking lot in the snow. And I was so heartbroken, but this energy seemed to pass through me at that moment. That snow felt like a clean slate to me. And it just kind of showed me I was about to start this new world with so many different new experiences in a new town. And it felt like I was just starting all over. Siska smoked all the camels in the county last week. She cleaned out the 7-Eleven, sneaking in smelling like nicotine. Mama's burning chicken for the lyrics for Family Tree came from my sister's little dirty habit she picked up over the years. My sister is 8 years older than me, and I always grew up just looking up to my sister. She finally got to the point probably 2-3 years ago that she wanted to move back home and be closer to family. So until she found the place she wanted in Ellaville, she went and moved in with Mom and Dad in her old bedroom. through the years of traveling, she had picked up that she liked smoking cigarettes. And the one thing Mike Hammack, our father, does not like is cigarettes. So she had to figure out a way to sneak her cigarettes every day. She started taking one gardening glove, just one, and she'd go outside. And finally, one day I followed her out, and I figured out that she had ran an extension cord from the basement door all the way back behind the shed. She had this little $10 fan set up out there, and she's smoking her cigarette, blowing the smoke into the back of the fan, and it blows it into the neighbor's yard. So that Mike Hammack does not know. I thought it was the most hilarious thing. So I was like, I'll keep your secret. It's all right, you know. And we go up to the gas station the next day. She goes to order some Camel Crushes at the counter, and the guy says, I'm sorry, ma'am, we're sold out. And my brain just automatically responds like, well, dang, Molly, you must have smoked all the Camels in the county last week. A few weeks later, I get to Nashville, and I'm in the writer room with two great writers I've never got to work with before, but I really admired, Troy Verges and Gordy Sampson. I had to prove myself, and I went through all these different lyrics. And at the very end, I had Sister smoked all the Camels in the county last week. She cleaned out the 7-Eleven, sneaking in, smelling like nicotine. And I was like, okay, this is really redneck, but listen to this. And Gordy, he turns around in his chair and he's like, oh, tell us more about your family, bud. And that day, we just started talking about family. And I started talking about how my mom used to throw all these Tupperware parties, Pampered Chef and Avon, and anything you could sell and make a party out of it, we did it at the Hammack House. And how my dad has this one armchair he's had since I was a little girl that sits in the corner of the kitchen, and as soon as he sits down, he's out like a light. It just became this collaboration of stories about the people that I loved more than anyone else. The people that are just as quirky and as crazy as me, but in their ways. And that's why I love them so much, you know? And we didn't have a hook. We didn't have an idea of where that song was going. But Family Tree just kind of fell out of the sky, and it became my favorite song because of that. It's the first song I got to write for this record. It also was the first song that I ever got to produce as a co-producer. It took every single bad thing happening for me to get exactly where I need to be. And my favorite part is when young women reach out to me, and it's just a private conversation between me and them, and they tell me about their first heartbreak, and they tell me why that song meant so much to them, because that shows me that my breaking has helped someone heal their breaking. And that's what we want from music. Music is medicine, and it should be used as such.